Pearl River was a spring of tranquility. A place of power where one could ponder ancient wisdom to the harmonious music of waterfalls. But such a gem was fated to attract the attention of dark spirits. They came out of nowhere. An entire demonic army of Yaoguai was ready to rip apart anyone in their way. Our warriors were unable to fight back. Like it usually did, a light tank rushed towards an open field. It had hoped to actively scout, but it couldn't see anyone. Well-armored tanks deployed to Serpent Gorge in the nearby mountains, but they occupied the wrong positions. They had been too daring and aggressive when firing, thus exposing their vulnerable spots. This lack of patience proved to be their doom. TDs took up convenient spots with good lines of fire near the base, but the enemy was out of range. Artillery fired at those they could see, but their efforts were disorganized. Two medium tanks recklessly hugged the rock on their approach to Celestial Village. But what seemed like good cover turned out to be a trap. Medium and heavy tanks at the rice fields in the valley underestimated the enemy's strength as they launched their attack one by one. Their haste, however, led to their quick demise at the hands of enemy TDs and medium tanks. The battle quickly turned into a massacre. Impatience and reckless bravery sowed chaos and weakness. The defenders stood no chance. This was the sad story the WZ-132 won. The only warrior to survive the battle told the wise master on the peak of eternity. Having entrusted himself to the hermit's years of wisdom, questions tormented him. How do I defeat the enemy? How do I oppose the ancient evil? The wise master answered.
What? I can't hear you. Speak louder.
The warrior repeated his questions as he awaited the master's advice.
I have a scroll. It will help you defend Pearl River. It holds the knowledge of ancient warriors. But first, you need to know the battlefield. Serpent Gorge is in the mountains at the top. Celestial Village is on the hill at the center. The rice fields are in the valley at the bottom. Gather your army. I shall show you the way to stand against these demons from each direction. Remember, demons desire to prove their worth in battle. To them, vanity is more important than victory. It is everyone for themselves. But you are not like this. You are a team. To prevail, all vehicles must take the correct position. Serpent Gorge is a place for slow, well-armored vehicles. They can play hull down using the terrain, or side scrape with the help of cover. But most importantly, be patient and cool-headed. Medium tanks should fight at the peak of eternity, near the entrance to Celestial Village. The rock at the center is a ruse. Don't rush someplace you won't be able to escape. Use the terrain and side scrape with caution. Self-restraint is a way to victory. Light tanks should sneak into Celestial Village. From there, they will have an unobstructed view of the entire valley and its rice fields, river, and bases. Don't even think of going along the river near the village. You won't spot anyone at the start of the battle, and you won't be useful to your team. The rice fields have their own nuances. In fact, there are two directions: the fields themselves and a road near the grotto. Agile tanks should start from there. Natural cover is abundant. The main cover spots are marked on the scroll granted to you. Do not rush to attack the enemy. Think of ways you can outsmart them. TDs have limited lines of fire at the rice fields, and they can only cover the exits. However, they have a clear view of the road near the grotto. A brave tank in the grotto can transmit intelligence to tank destroyers and keep the enemy from advancing. If you feel you have an advantage, flank the enemy through the rice fields and deliver the critical blow. And here's my last piece of advice to you: strength in unity. Monitor the map and help those in trouble.
And that was how the training began. The enemy was already at the doorstep. The WZ-132-1 dashed towards the mountain, accompanied by two medium tanks. He managed to break through to Celestial Village, where he met the demon there right away. His shot only enraged his opponent, but a bright flash knocked all the arrogance out of the enemy. Artillery had presented the WZ with a golden opportunity to destroy the opponent. Now, the light tank could watch the action unfolding in the valley below. By that time, medium tanks had captured the positions near the entrance to Celestial Village, where they could safely exchange fire with the enemy. The village was taken. The first step towards victory was complete. In Serpent Gorge, two heavy tanks and one tank destroyer were getting ready to engage the demonic forces with guns blazing. The defenders were outnumbered, but their opponents couldn't drive them from their positions. They had dug in at the correct spots and were able to hold the line for a long time. Medium and heavy tanks quickly took advantageous positions at the rice fields and on the road near the grotto. Everyone was assessing the situation. No one was rushing to attack. The Allies were supported by concealed TDs behind the main combat area. A brave STB-1 snuck into the grotto near the bank, ready to scout the road for self-propelled guns. They were all heeding the wise master's guidance. It was time to wait for the enemy to make a mistake. But in this world, fate cannot be denied. The defense near the entrance to Celestial Village cracked. The WZ-132-1 wanted to help, but it was too late.
Avoiding encounters is wise, because sacrificing yourself is not an advantage.
The village quickly fell. Once the defenders at the rice fields realized that, they used an ancient battle magic: math. There were fewer opponents here, which meant they needed to attack. medium tanks supported by heavy tanks dealt with the enemy quickly and confidently. Tank destroyers kept foes from repelling the attack. Soon the enemy was driven from the rice fields. Now only the road near the grotto remained. Medium tanks at Celestial Village prevented the Allies from capturing it. They needed to wait for the right moment.
Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained.
The demons at Celestial Village were thirsty for damage. But they couldn't quench it. After the fall, the WZ-132-1 was disoriented, but not broken. He needed time to disappear from enemy view and think through his next steps. Moving behind the enemy's line wasn't an option. The medium tanks inside the village would spot and destroy him at once, but maybe the risk was worth it. As soon as he dashed forward, he spotted 2 enemy medium tanks on the mountain path. That meant only one thing. They must prepare to defend the base.
Rely not on the likelihood of the enemy's not coming, but on our own readiness to receive him.
Realizing that the village was empty, the rice field defenders attacked the remaining opponents on the road near the grotto. The STB-1 dared to make a risky move. It crept along the water towards the enemy TDs. The remaining TD fell back to its base, having realized the hopelessness of the situation. The path to the enemy was open. Meanwhile, the situation at Serpent Gorge spiraled out of the control. When 2 tanks appeared from the rear, it became clear the line would soon be breached. The demons reveled in their superiority. The WZ-132-1 took cover among the houses, requesting support from allies. 2 tank destroyers responded to his call. From his position, the WZ had a clear view of the base and the road from the side of the gorge. The appearance of the enemy horde wasn't a surprise, but no one could predict whether they could hold off the attack for long. At the same time, the tanks at the rice fields pushed forward towards the enemy base.
In war, delay leads to defeat.
Everyone charged forward. The demons put up a fierce defense, but only one STB survived. During the clash, tank destroyers tried to stave off the enemy attack on the other side of the map. Looking at the battle, the WZ knew he had made the decision that defined the outcome. The WZ tried to slow down the enemy advance. He fired a shot, revealing his position. Blinded by rage, a demon decided to finish what they had started in Celestial Village and move towards the WZ. But that wasn't the end of the fight. The enemy was caught in the middle.
And here's my last piece of advice to you. Strength in unity.
Once the sounds of battle subsided, the WZ went to the Peak of Eternity to thank the Wise Master. But what he found there was only a parchment containing a prophecy. Many years have passed since then. The Wise Master on the mountain still gives guidance to warriors and looks for his successor in each of them.